those moments when the reality of where our hearts are and what we're struggling through sets in, I believe that in those moments we can also experience worship. It's not just about the emotions. It's not just about the excitement. It's also about realizing that God has created for us this community that we can cry together at the same time, and then we can also laugh together at other times. Worship is made up of more than just our feelings and us showing off those feelings. See, that's what this scene illustrates more than anything to us, right? See, it was in the chaos of this, in the small town in the middle of nowhere, in a barn, in a situation that didn't look like the best situation, to a family that didn't look like the best family. With all of the pieces that seemed to be broken, it was in that moment that our God put together the most perfect scene that we could imagine. Because it was in flopping it all upside down, in the unexpected, that God was working what he was accomplishing. He didn't need our help. He didn't need any of that. But he had a plan and he had a purpose. So, what does that mean for us? Here's what I want to challenge you to do this morning. First of all, I want to challenge you to ask yourself if your worship is based on situations or on the reality of who God is. See, if your worship is based on situations, here's what you will start to see. Situations always let us down. Situations are based in creation, right? There's the difference between the creator and the creation. And when we trust our job, when we place our faith and our hope in our family or in our relationships, here's what we understand. When those families or those relationships or that job fluctuates and changes, then we see that the times that we're trusting and the times that we're going through, they'll go up and down with the object of our worship. But when we trust that our worship is in God, God doesn't change. That reality is established. It's constant. So whereas our circumstances may change, the heart of worship doesn't change. Second of all, ask yourself if you worship from a mindset of knowing how things will play out or from a mindset that God is in control. Do you worship from this attitude? You can only find yourself on the mountaintop. You can only find yourself worshiping God, trusting God, when things you understand are going to work out and they're going to play out exactly like you hope, or when they're out of control, do you also worship God because you have a mindset that God is still in control? The last thing for this morning, make the decision today that you worship God for who he is and not out of your emotions. Not that God can't be worshiped out of our emotions, but I want to caution you about getting to a place that the worship of God is all about emotions all the time. So, if you're here this morning and you would say that your scene of Christmas looks more like this chaos that we've tried to make look like peace, but looks more like this chaos. And for you, it feels like you have been knocked off kilter because it feels like this isn't worship or that you can't worship or something is off. And there may be something off. But at the same time, do you realize that your worship can come from a heart that's established in the reality? It's not born out of having everything figured out. And it's not simply about feelings that you need to show off to everybody. Maybe there's someone here that you're really struggling. You're struggling with your worship. You're struggling with the place that you have placed your faith and your trust in. And it is in these times of chaos that you find. It talks about